Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Estrella virtual visit series. My name is Allison Campbell with Estrella Consulting, and I'm so excited to welcome Sarah Hobbs from Clemson University. Our virtual visit series is designed to introduce all of you to a variety of colleges and allow us to get to know the institutions and their staff in a more personal way. So thank you, Sarah, for taking the time to join us. If you could just take a few minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you have worked at Clemson.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad I could be here with you guys today. It's awesome to connect and share a little bit more about the university. I did my undergraduate and my master's program here at Clemson, so I feel like I've been here forever. But most of my experience here was as a student. But in this role as an admissions counselor, I've been here for a little over a year now, about a year and 3 months. So this is kind of turning into my second cycle for admissions. Right now, I'm the territory manager for Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. So that's what we're working with. That's mainly who I travel to see and the applications that I read.
Well, Clemson has been such a hot school for our Ohio
Yeah.
residents. And Estrella works with students all over the US, so it's not always just Ohio, but I think you're probably noticing one of the trends being a lot of Ohio applications. I don't know if it's those harsh Ohio winters or whatnot, but I know that Clemson is a beautiful school with a lot of wonderful programs and things going on that students are really looking for in their college experience. So I'm sure you're getting a lot of students from the Ohio and Pennsylvania Midwest region.
Yes, absolutely. We've actually seen a really big interest in students from all over, really out of states. I think maybe a little bit from COVID, students really, got tired of being stuck at home. So even our South Carolina students, they're all ready to go to the West Coast or up north and try something new, something different. So it's kind of this weird exchange that we have going on as, everybody's kind of excited and trying to find something new, somewhere different to experience. So it's been an interesting thing to see.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe the South Carolina migration out will allow for some more of our northern Midwest students to come down to Clemson because it is, like I said, a very popular school right now for us.
Yeah.
So can you just tell us a little bit about Clemson, just about your location, your enrollment, the type of institution that you are, or just really anything that you think is really exciting that our students and families would like to know?
Yeah. So a brief overview of us. We are what we consider about a mid-sized university. So our total enrollment is about 29,000 students. That includes our graduate population. We are located in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, right on the border of South Carolina and Georgia. So we always get a question from Georgia students about, tuition and different things like that because the Georgia borderline is right there. But we're about 2 hours from Atlanta, and then on the flip side, about 2 hours from Charlotte. So in my opinion, we kind of have this perfect location of being, close to bigger cities, close to, fun places to be, but we're all also in this kind of tinier area that's more home to us. We have a small college town that is kind of the breadwinners of everything that we do here. They have so many events and activities for us because we're part of that town. We are also located on Lake Hartwell, which is always super awesome. It gets very hot down here in South Carolina, so our students always appreciate that opportunity to cool off at the lake and have fun. As far as like the university itself, we are a direct admit program. So our students are coming into the university, and on day one, we want them in that major that they want to be in, exposed to that information that they are interested in studying, so that they're getting all that, good education and experience and hands-on learning that they need so that they're successful once they graduate. We're also really, really large as far as all the programs we offer. So we have over 80 different majors right now and constantly growing. So we've added a new major this year called data science. So that is something that's awesome. So pretty much every year, I feel like we're always adding something new, mixing it up and changing things. So always changing, always growing, just to make sure that we're, providing good resources and opportunities for the students that enroll with us.
So this is just off of the direct admit to major point that
Yeah.
you mentioned. If you're a student who maybe doesn't know exactly what they want to do, what would you suggest for them?
If they have a general idea, we can always help kind of guide them to the different programs that they offer. But if a student is truly coming to you and they're like, hey, I have no idea what to do with my life, I just kind of am trying to figure it out. We do offer undeclared to students, which is a great program for those kiddos who are just really struggling, have no idea. You're going to be exposed to a lot of different things. So that curriculum is designed to expose students to different classes, different programs, different colleges and environments, so that ultimately after a year or some change, they will be able to kind of pick a major that they want to focus on and then ultimately get that degree in.
So if you have a student that maybe they say they want engineering and they do, they're direct admit, they start right away. If they get through maybe that first year and they're like, this is not for me, I need to change. That first year, is there enough like flexibility that they could change a major without being extremely penalized? There's some like core curriculum courses that they're taking freshman year.
Yeah, so engineering is actually one of our fun ones, also with business. So in our College of Engineering and our College of Business, that very first year that students are here, they take a kind of basic introduction to engineering or to business, and then like a sampling of all the different disciplines. So that very first year that they're here, they're not necessarily going to pick, let's say mechanical engineering or industrial or anything like that. So they're going to kind of have that year to expose them to all the different tracks, and then they won't pick one until their sophomore year to really focus on, start working on any labs or internships, co-ops, and things like that that they want. Ultimately, if they're just like, absolutely not, engineering is not for me, I want to go to like psychology or something, they're absolutely welcome. They work with their academic advisor to switch their major. Typically, there's not really an issue. We can never guarantee a switch, which was why we always encourage students to kind of, if you have an idea, that's what you should put down on the application, just to kind of save yourself a little bit of a headache down the road. But it absolutely is possible to switch your major, to do something different. You work with your academic advisor to make sure that if there are a lot of differences in the curriculum between the majors you're switching between, kind of laying out how those next couple years are going to look, so you're not missing any classes or falling behind or anything like that, so that you can still graduate on time and kind of get where you need to be.
Okay. We talked a little bit about trends from like a geographical standpoint. We're
Yeah.
seeing a lot of the students from like the Northeast or from the Midwest that are looking to apply to Clemson. But what type of trends are you seeing in particular majors? Like what majors are really gaining steam or are maybe more competitive than others?
We have a very large College of Business, and that in turn is very popular. So it's not necessarily our most competitive program, but our marketing, management, economics, things like that that are housed in our College of Business, those are hugely popular. So we always try to kind of add some space to that college and make sure that we have plenty of room for those students. It's about 25% of the total population here. So business is very popular, but we try to accommodate with lots of space for our students. We do have what we call 5 limited space majors, and they are majors that are physically capped because there's only so much room on campus for those students. So that's our nursing, health science, sports communication, and architecture majors. So those 5 are going to be just a touch more competitive, mainly because there are a specific number of slots for those students. So like, for example, architecture is a limited space major because all of our architecture students have their own studio space, and we only have so many studios for so many students. So we have to kind of cap it on how many students can come into that major.
Okay. And if you're applying to one of these like limited space majors, are there particular like testing requirements or cutoffs or like certain GPAs that you need to have in order to obtain a space?
Nope, not at all. So there aren't any extra things that you'll need to do or any tests you'll need to pass. My general advice, if you want one of those 5, put it as number 1 on the application process, because that shows us you really want us. That makes sure that you're kind of being looked at it for it. And then also any test score ranges or any kind of like class curriculum that we're looking at, you want to be on the higher end to kind of maximize your chances of being admitted there. So definitely making sure you're challenging yourself in the classroom with some APs, IBs, dual enrollments, anything like that, to kind of make sure you're academically challenging yourself, which usually in turn, boosts GPA and things like that to kind of help you look better on the application process for those little bit more of a competitive major situations.
Okay. And are you test optional?
We are test optional this year. I have no idea what it'll be next year, but we are test optional this year, and we're truly test optional. It does not matter to us if a student wants to turn it in, awesome. If they don't, there's no penalty, and we don't have a preference with SAT or ACT. We like them both, so students can send whichever one they want, and we will super score both. So if they've taken it a couple times, we'll get that highest composite score for them.
Okay. We've talked a lot about majors, but is there a particular major at Clemson that you feel is like flying under the radar, that one is like getting a lot of great outcomes or is very maybe unique that not everybody offers?
Um, I wouldn't say there's necessarily one flying under the radar, but I do know for this upcoming year, we are kind of growing our engineering, education, and agriculture majors. So engineering and agriculture was kind of what this college was originally founded for way back in the 1800s. Those were kind of our first big things that we had to offer here. So they are long standing programs. They have so much history and so many resources available to them. So definitely, don't overlook those majors if students are interested in them, especially with engineering. We have over 11 different disciplines, and we are constantly adding more things and changing things. So anybody who's interested in kind of a STEM major, math or science or anything like that, I wouldn't underestimate our engineering program because there's a lot of opportunities there.
Okay, that's great. So let's talk a little bit about different ends of the spectrum. So say if you
Mhm.
have students that, are applying and accepted that are super academically gifted, do you
Yeah.
offer an honors program? And if so, what's the criteria to do that?
Yes, we do have an honors college, so their admissions is housed a little bit separately from us. They're going to look at the application that you submit to Clemson. So everything you do on the Common App or anything like that is automatically going to go over to them if you're interested in applying to them. They are also looking for letters of recommendation and 2 additional essays. So for general Clemson admission, we don't require any extra essays or letters of recommendation or resumes or anything like that. But the honors college is definitely going to require and ask for those. In addition to that, if you're interested in the honors college, they're definitely going to want you on the higher end of any of the spectrums we have. So test score ranges, GPA ranges, anything like that. The more competitive and, academically prepared you can make yourself look on that application process is going to help you with that honors college admission.
So if, like you said, if a student is just applying using the Common App, they would be automatically considered. Would they have to mark a box or anything to denote that they're wanting to be considered for that?
Nope. So what is going to happen is when they are finished sending in that general Clemson application, they're going to get their Clemson student portal. And in that student portal, there is a little orange button that asks if they're interested in applying to the honors college, and they can just click yes, asks them a couple questions, and then it will take that application they've already submitted and kind of autofill it or start that honors application for them so that they basically can just go in and add those couple extra little items that they need, like the letters of recommendation, and then doing those 2 additional essays. So it kind of does most of the work up front for them once they've already applied to Clemson.
All right, I'm taking some notes. I'm just writing that
Yeah.
they can submit their letters of recommendation and
Mhm.
their 2 additional essays
Mhm.
within the portal. Awesome.
Yes. The essay prompts are available on the Honors College website as well. So if students kind of want a preview of what that is, so they can do a rough draft or anything like that, I would definitely encourage checking out the Honors College website and just making sure that you kind of have everything prepared and you see what it looks like before you even open the application. So you're ready to go.
That's a good idea. I mean, we're working obviously with students right now that have a lot of supplemental essays on their
Yes.
list, and they do add up. When you're working
Yes.
really, really hard on, perfecting your Common App and your activities and perfecting that Common App essay, and
Mhm.
then you apply to, 10 schools, and then they each have 2 to 3 additional essays. That's 30 more essays that you need to write. So that's a good idea, Sarah, just being cognizant that there are additional essays for not only competitive colleges
Mhm.
in general, but specific honors programs, specific scholarship programs, and
Yes.
making sure that you're budgeting your time appropriately. So
Yes.
on the opposite end of that, if you have a
Mhm.
student that might be on the lower end or need accommodations, do you have anything in place for the students that might have a learning difference or again, maybe just need some extra support?
Yeah, absolutely. So any of our students, I have a little bit of a public education background. So as particular students who have a diagnosis or an IEP or a 504, that's what we call them in South Carolina. We have a Student Disability Services Center. So it's an entire department who is equipped and prepared to help students if they have any disabilities or concerns going on. We really encourage students to bring in any paperwork you have from your high school or from a doctor, from a counselor, or anybody like that with you. And then they kind of work with you to establish, what can still work for you here at the university, what can you still apply, what will help you be successful in the classroom. And we have a lot of like counseling services as well. So they'll be able to like check in with somebody throughout the semester and throughout the year to make sure that everything's kind of working for them. They don't need any extra accommodations, or if they're lacking somewhere, somebody to work with them to kind of help them out.
So students that would need the accommodations and kind of, advocate for themselves and get that all coordinated, they will have, would they have like an opportunity for check-ins from anybody in that like
Mhm.
academic services department that just kind of
Yeah,
makes sure everything
absolutely.
okay? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. They can reach out to somebody. I believe they're required to have so many check-ins each semester, kind of depending on their individual situations. But then we do encourage them, as always, if you are struggling or if you have a problem or a question, reach out as soon as possible. A lot of our offices have walk-in hours and things like that. So better to kind of get in front of a problem before you let it fester and get any worse.
For sure, for sure. I mean, we tell our students all the time, as we've built some rapport with them and we get to know them over the year or the 2 years, however long we've been working with them, we know whether or not they have accommodations or they're going to require something at school. And just really part of that maturity process is being able to go advocate for yourself. So
Mhm.
before school even starts, whether it's the summer, maybe, they've decided they're going to Clemson, reaching out via email to
Absolutely.
the Disability Services Center or during your orientation or just the first
Mhm.
week of school going in and just establishing that because like you said, you want to make sure that you have them in place on the front end and maybe you don't even need them versus getting
Right.
C or a D or an F on your first class and then
Yeah.
deciding you need to do that.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's much easier to take something away because you're excelling and doing great than it is to kind of add something the week before finals week and things like that. That's not doesn't always work out super well.
for sure. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about scholarships. So when a student applies to Clemson, are they automatically considered for scholarship? And also, are there any additional scholarship opportunities through like a scholarship day or separate applications that our students might need to know about?
Yeah. So for merit scholarships, students are automatically considered during that admission cycle. So all of the academic information that we use during the admissions process is what goes into consideration for scholarships. So that includes test scores or not test scores. So students are considered for merit with or without a test score. If they're looking for any need-based scholarships or grants or loans or anything like that, we encourage them to fill out the FAFSA as well. I also encourage students to look around into private or national scholarships as well, just because Clemson doesn't offer you a scholarship or doesn't offer you the amount that you want does not mean that there's not money out there that's available to you that you can use. We're really only able to kind of advocate and, show off the ones that Clemson houses and that we offer. So there are other scholarships, excuse me, that you can bring in with you during the application process that can apply towards your college and university fees and tuition and different things like that. A lot of our students are also eligible for scholarships that are in certain colleges or in certain majors once they're here and enrolled. So a big one I know about right now is the Lyceum Scholars Program. So it is a scholarship for students who are interested in like political science and kind of going into like law and government and things like that. So that's specific to that major, to that college. So those students who are admitted or interested in something like that, they can apply for that scholarship later on and kind of get assistance through that program.
So would that be for like your sophomore, junior, senior level students that have access to those additional scholarships?
They can apply to those their freshman year, so it may not hit as soon as that, very first day, that very first semester, but they can go ahead and work on the application once they've been enrolled and they're, committed to Clemson and they're coming. It's, if you have some dead time in the summer, definitely spending a little bit of time looking into different things that your college or your major offers to see if there's something, an application that you can submit before the summer even ends that would apply to your freshman year.
Okay, that sounds great. So just repeating, if you decide that you're going to Clemson, you've enrolled, you put your deposit down, use that summertime to check within your certain major or
Mhm.
program of study to see if there are additional scholarship opportunities available. So I'd like
Absolutely.
to see one of my colleagues, Jamie, she has a fantastic resource that has been
Mhm.
shared in our community with hidden scholarships. So I mean, we
Mhm.
find that a lot of the schools they give the merit scholarship just based on the application materials, but
Right.
there are scholarships out there for like
Mhm.
particular majors, or
Mhm.
if you are of a certain demographic that they're not
Mhm.
going to broadcast, but if we ask about them, then they'll say,
Mhm.
"Oh, tell your students to look at this." And there's just
Yes.
thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars available to the
Yes.
students that are willing to do a little bit extra work.
Yeah, that's why we always encourage students to look around, do your homework. There's money out there for you that could fit for what you're studying, your major, your background, or different things like that. Just taking that little bit extra time to research or do an application can really help, especially once you've committed to a school, kind of hone in and focus on that school, even if it's not Clemson, just something to see if they have anything specific to your college or your major or anything else you could do based off that background once you've already been admitted.
Very good tip. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about life on campus at Clemson. We find that again, people that go to visit Clemson, they absolutely love it. They love the vibe. They love,
Mhm.
game days on Saturdays and
Yeah.
like the collaborative feel and
Mhm.
the friendliness. But what are some things, because you've been there as a student and
Mhm.
you're also obviously working there, but what are some things that stand out, maybe from like a student life perspective that make Clemson unique?
Yeah, so it's actually funny that you asked me that because this week is our homecoming week. So this is probably like everyone's maybe top three favorite weeks on homecoming. We have all the floats going on. There are events from like 8 a.m. until after dark every day just for students to get involved and do different things. So I usually joke with the students who come in and talk to me and say, it's harder to not get involved than it is to be involved. It's harder to kind of hide out in your dorm room and like not participate in anything. You're probably going to get convinced by a roommate or a friend to go try something or do something like that. So this week in particular, there are floats out on Bowman Field. I wish I could show it to you guys, but we have students who are flooding our like recreation areas, building all these floats for homecoming week in preparation. They work around the clock 24/7. So 2 a.m., 2 p.m. there are students out there building these floats, committing to win the prize and win first place and things like that. So it's this week in particular is super awesome. So I love this week, but there are also a lot of other events going on, and we have stuff for students everywhere. I am not personally the most athletic student, so that I was not really into like the intramural or the club sports or anything like that. But I really loved like animals and getting involved in extra activities with like my major and things like that. So while I was here, I was involved with a club called Tigers for Tigers. So it's a research program dedicated to, saving the habitat for tigers because they're an endangered species right now. So that was really cool. We did a lot of outreach to different areas and things like that. There was a study abroad program where we could go to India to like research the habitats and things like that. So there are so many opportunities for students. We just passed 600 active clubs on campus right now. So this semester we are over, I think it's 604 technically, clubs and organizations on campus that students can get involved in that are affiliated with Clemson. And that is anything from Greek life, academics, special interest clubs, major specific, study abroad programs, homecoming week, anything like that. So there's a lot of opportunities to get involved. And then, of course, there's the football games on the weekend or any kind of D1 sports that students want to participate in, and go to soccer games, baseball, all that good stuff too.
That's awesome. I mean, sounds like I said, people just rant and rave about how much they love Clemson, and just
Yeah.
all the things are, I mean, there really is truly something for everyone. Um,
Yes.
like all of the feels of the big time
Hmm.
college campus, but also like the ability to have it's like quaint and you can get to know your
Hmm.
people, or you could do Greek life, or you could study abroad.
Yep.
Um, Something that we like to, I mean, we find a lot of students have interest in this, and I'm not sure if maybe this is something you could speak to, and if not, no big deal, but that there's like the Clemson summer program.
Yeah, the summer start program. Yeah. Do you have a particular question or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, is that something that you find is better for students that just want to get a feel if Clemson is for them, or is that something that you see maybe as like a demonstrated interest piece for students?
Not necessarily demonstrated interest. So for our summer start program, that is an admissions pathway that we consider for our students. So anyone who applies to the university is automatically considered for our fall term, summer start, or our Bridge to Clemson program. So there's nothing extra they need to do. That's something that they're automatically considered for. Personally, I think summer start is one of the best programs that we have here. We also have a ton of other programs that are even more specific. So we have like a peer and wise program, STEM programs, and things like that in the summer for students in certain majors that they can kind of come and get really involved in. But that summer start program is, in my opinion, a great first semester for students. They come down to Clemson, they're going to move in on campus, they'll live here, eat here, hang out here, go to the lake, do fun stuff. They'll take a couple classes this summer, kind of get things started, get a feel for the campus and everything. And then they just segue right into that fall and spring semester with no hiccups or anything like that, and moving on through. A lot of students as well, between the dual enrollment credits or AP credits that they're coming in with, plus the classes that they take that summer start semester, they're going to graduate a semester or two early just because they've gotten such a nice head start on things. So that is a program I think is great. I know when I was graduating high school, I was so ready to get out of my house and kind of be on my own and be independent. So I would have shown up the day after graduation if Clemson would have let me. So that is always something that I tell students too. You're not necessarily giving up your summer, you're just starting that next chapter in life.
Okay, so summer start is just basically like a jump start on getting into the material, or like
Yeah.
getting into your college experience. But Bridge to Clemson is something more
Mhm.
like preparatory, as far as if you need to get up to speed for certain things, like that's what Bridge is.
No, nope, just another admissions pathway. So those students are still direct admit. They are starting in their major. So if they've been admitted to engineering, they are going to start their engineering classes. Really, for us, the biggest thing is we are growing much faster than we have buildings and areas on campus. So having like the summer start program and the Bridge to Clemson program allows us to admit more students. So with Tri-County helping us out and having these students starting at different times or being enrolled in different programs really helps us get as many students as we want to come to Clemson's campus and kind of be a part of that program. So those Bridge students are full Clemson students. They still live here on campus with us. They'll eat at the dining halls. They are eligible to go football games on the weekends. They're just really taking those freshman level courses at the technical college, but all of those courses are set up for them in that major. So if they're a psychology student, they're going to go ahead and take their psychology classes, engineering, business, all of that good stuff. So they're not falling behind and they're not having to necessarily catch up either. They're still on a 4-year track. They'll still graduate from Clemson in 4 years unless they want to stay longer for whatever reason.
Okay. Well, thank you for explaining that because I definitely had
Yeah.
it backwards. I guess I'm thinking too of there's like a summer program that allows students to kind of like do like a taste of Clemson, kind of like a
Mm,
visit
yeah.
experience.
So we have a ton of camps and things like that during the summer where students can come and kind of spend like a weekend as like a day in the life of a tiger. So what it might be like as a student or different camps that we have available and some of our summer programs as well. Like we have like a peer and wise and an engineering one. So those are specific to those students. So they'll come that summer before and get started on their classes and getting involved in that program and things like that as well. So there's definitely opportunities for students who just kind of want to get a little taste of Clemson to come in the summer. But as far as those admissions pathways that we have to offer, those are fully enrolled students committed to Clemson that will get their Clemson degree.
Okay. Thank you for getting that all sorted out for
Yeah.
me. I was a little confused, but okay, let's round it out with one fun final question. I feel like because Clemson does have like major sports and
Mhm.
there's like a lot of like notable names with Clemson. Let's
Yes.
do an exciting guest or speaker that you've had on campus in recent memory.
In recent memory.
And if that's a stumper, then we could do a different one. We could do your most interesting alumnus.
I was going to say, well, we always have, like for football games, we always have previous football players who, even if they're the NFL, come back and visit all the time. I know Trevor Lawrence was here, I think, a little bit this summer and earlier this spring. The big thing that I remember the most, it happened a little bit during COVID, but if anybody has a Disney Plus subscription, there is a Clemson movie called Safety out there. It's super cute. It's a great movie, and I think it showcases a lot about Clemson as well. So that's not necessarily a person, but like kind of a major event that happened for us. So it was really cool seeing like I know my alma mater on kind of like Disney Plus and things like that. So that's good. I don't think he's come to campus previously, but my personal favorite alumni is Lee Bryce. He was a football player here for a little while, but he's a country music artist, and so I'm a big country music fan. So it's always cool having that connection. Sometimes when I hear his music, I think like, oh wow, like we've walked on the same campus before and probably done the same things. And he played on the football team, so I didn't necessarily do that, but I was at some of those football games. So
Yeah.
just kind of a fun connection to have.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I feel like my mind immediately goes to athletes like Trevor Lawrence or
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson or, some of the basketball players. But again,
Yeah.
that's cool to see like the movement from being on the football team to a country music superstar. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was trying to think of somebody other than like a NFL player that I knew. That was all the people that kept popping into my head. So yeah, there's definitely a lot. I'm sure if you did a Google search, there's probably a ton more out there that I'm not even thinking of right now off the top of my head.
That's okay. And I kind of put you on the spot as well. But
That's
well, thank you so much, Sarah. It was
yeah.
wonderful getting to chat with you about all things Clemson. And if you're watching this, make sure that you reach out to Sarah. She will hopefully be able to answer your questions, or if not, direct you in the right location. But again,
Absolutely.
Clemson is such a popular school, and I'm glad that we were able to connect with you and give our viewers and our families a lot of great information today. So thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here. And let me know if you guys have questions or need help.
All right, Sarah, have a great recruitment season. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, you guys too. Bye.
Bye bye.